It's Friday, January 24th, 2014, and let's talk about what happened this week over at xdadevelopers.com. Before you even start, yes, I'm wearing a cardigan. No, I'm not old, I'm cold. So let's go ahead and get started. First up, let's talk about some Android ROM and device update news. Paranoid Android, a longtime favorite of some people over at the XDA forums, has received its version 4.0 beta 3 update as of this week. And this comes with some interesting new features over the previous version. Some things like quick settings version 3.0, where your quick settings menu that you pull down, you can have tiles that swipe over to different tiles, so you can have multiple things under one tile, like your 2G, 3G settings, 4G settings, all under one tile, Wi-Fi and your Wi-Fi access point under one tile. We've seen this in other ROMs before, so it's nice to see it coming into Paranoid Android as well. You've also got the ability to change those quick settings tiles, move them around, hide the ones you don't want to see, things like that. There's an on-the-spot dialog that's now available, so as you can do with an Android tablet, you can actually go on a phone, for example, now, and on the right-hand side, when you swipe down, you can get your quick settings toggles. I think currently that's the only one that they really support, but it leaves the option open for other things like that to be added. So for example, you could swipe a certain direction and have it go to a specific place in the settings, or swipe another way and have a different application open and do something for you, or go to a specific place in an app. And they've also added some new features to the immersive mode. So you can hit a button and have the status bar and the notification tray and everything go away. You can hit another button and have one or the other pop back up. So you can sort of customize your own experience and get a little bit more in-depth, immersed into your experience on your device. Additionally, there's a cool new boot animation. If you'd like to see demonstrations of any of these things or the boot animation, you can head on over to the portal post. There are videos for both of those things there, but we move on. Back when I was at CES, I told you guys a little bit about some of the new devices that Sony's coming out with as of this year. Well, as I said, I just talked about them a couple of weeks ago when we were at CES, and already the Sony Xperia Z1 Compact has been rooted and Clockwork Mod has been made to work on it, and this is before it's even officially been launched. And this is thanks, of course, to XDA recognized developer Doomhair, as well as some other obvious people, Koosh and Clockwork Mod team and the Free Xperia team, because basically it was done upon the top of the work that's already been done, using tools that have already been made available, just some tweaks and some changes made to actually make it work on the Z1 Compact. It's pretty much the same as rooting and putting Clockwork Mod on top of the Z1 with some very minor changes. So if the Z1 Compact is something that interests you, now you definitely know you're going to be able to root it whenever you get it. And keeping things rolling and moving in a bit of a different direction, I noticed over on Google Plus this week, Chainfire was talking a little bit about the next potential version of Android coming. And then lo and behold, the same kind of story hit the XDA portal, so I thought I'd go ahead and bring it up. Apparently, according to Chainfire and some people that he's been talking to, some of the commits that have gone into AOSP in the last week, two in particular, point to turning off the ability for SU to be able to actually execute binaries from the data partition on your device. Now, from Chainfire's post, this should not be an issue if you're doing things the way that he suggests that you do them, where you pipe things out through a third party. You don't actually do it to the data partition. You either do it in memory or you do it somewhere else on the device. But a lot of applications are still, unfortunately, using that data partition. So keep an eye out on your favorite root applications, maybe poke at them. It's not entirely sure when these commits are actually going to make it into Android, and of course when that version of Android is going to make it to you guys, so it's not anything that's really expedient and urgent, but it's something that app maintainers actually should be taking a look at and just sort of keeping an eye on, because if you have a root-enabled app and you use that data partition, it's entirely likely that when the next version of Android comes out, it ain't gonna work anymore. So thanks so much to Chainfire for pointing that out. Just wanted to sort of pass that along to you guys so you were aware as well. Now, another thing we talked a little bit about while we were at CES is Samsung's new UI. Specifically, we took a look at the tablet version they're calling the Magazine UX. Well, apparently in the last few weeks, there have been leaks here and there of their new UI. And from the looks of it, it looks like it's kind of a hybrid between Siri on iOS and Google Now, with a little bit of this magazine style thrown in. So it's entirely possible, at least from where I'm standing and looking at it, that it could be sort of a blink feed alternative like the HTC blink feed, but for Samsung devices, but designed for phones. Looking at the new screenshots, and the reason I mention this, there are some new screenshots that have leaked out thanks to EV Leaks over on Twitter, and looking at these screenshots, it looks very much like something you would expect to see on one pane of your phone. Maybe it's a widget you'll add, maybe it's an entire launcher replacement just like the magazine user experience on tablets is going to be. Maybe it's going to be something that's a widget that you can add to a tablet on top of this magazine UX. Keep in mind, this is still kind of rumor mill. There's nothing that's set in stone. These are just leaked images that might not even be real, but they're not terrible, realistically speaking. The stuff that Samsung's been putting out lately, it takes one special type of person for it really to appeal to it. I wouldn't mind getting my hands on it and playing with it for a while. I don't know if I would use it 100%. And from talking to some of you guys in the comments and hearing you guys over on the forums, there's going to be just a certain type of person that this really appeals to, and it's not going to appeal to everybody. So I guess we'll just have to see what happens in the coming months, see if this actually is something that's real. Maybe this is going to come to their next line of phones. Maybe it will come to the next tablets whenever they do become available as well. But we continue and we move on. And sticking in that same vein of Samsung, when the Samsung Galaxy Gear came out, unfortunately, it only worked with the Galaxy Note 3. Shortly thereafter, they opened it up a little bit and made it work with the Note 10.1 and the Galaxy S4, but still, it is very locked down, only working with Samsung devices. Well, apparently XDA forum member P-Selly did not like this. I know a lot of people really didn't like this, and I'm kind of surprised that I haven't heard a story about this yet. But he set out to work and got it to work on his Nexus 5. He passed the procedure out to the forum, and of course, people tried it on their own devices, and by doing a couple of simple things, extracting some APKs and putting them on your device, people have actually gotten the Samsung Galaxy Gear to work with a bevy of different devices at this point. Specifically, it seems to be working really well on AOSP-based ROMs running Android 4.4.2, and it's been found to work on things like the HTC One and the Sony Xperia Z1, with a couple of minor issues. Some of the specifically TouchWiz apps like the weather and the S-Voice don't appear to be working at all, and like I said, they're TouchWiz apps, so it's entirely likely that it's looking on the device for TouchWiz. It's not there, so it's not going to work. And as the story mentions right at the very end, you should know that this is nothing that's guaranteed to work. Samsung is not supporting this, so if something breaks, if they update the Gear and it just stops working, don't be surprised. But for the time being, if you have one of these devices that it is supported on, or at least that the community's gotten it working on, and you own the Galaxy Gear or you're interested in the Galaxy Gear, you might want to take another look at it to see if you're interested in picking one up yourself, or to see if you can get it working with your device of choice. And of course, the last thing to mention, just to go ahead and wrap things up, there were 3 other videos posted to XDA Developer TV this week, all done by TK. The first one was another XDA Exposed Tuesday, talking about swipe back and navigating your device using gestures. And then TK did a smartwatch showdown going back and forth between the Samsung Galaxy Gear, the O-Mate smartwatch, and the Pebble. And finally, TK did a review of the Oppo N1 with CyanogenMod. So now we've got sort of 2 sides of the coin there. We've got the original Oppo review that I did, and now one with CyanogenMod on it. So make sure to take a look at all those videos if those sound interesting to you. If you see the Oppo CyanogenMod video and you want to know my side of the story, of course, there's the original Oppo N1 review that I did a couple of months ago. And of course, the links to all the other stories I mentioned will be down in the video description as well. And you can also find the links to my YouTube channels down there. And just above that video description, you can find the like button, which if you like this video, you can click that like button to tell us that you like the video. And also, if you want to be notified whenever we put up new videos, you can click the subscribe button down below if you have not already. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again on Monday.